Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we are reading from Petty Revenge. Our first post is by No, You Grow Up. Hold the elevator, please. I work on the 11th floor of an office building with 3 elevators. The other day, as I rounded into the elevator lobby at lunchtime, I saw one cab open its doors and a food delivery person step into it. I was a few steps behind, but not too far. The delivery guy and I made eye contact as I got closer, but he made no effort to hold the door or press the open door button and let me get on with him. The doors closed just before I got within arm's reach and I had to wait. It wasn't a long wait. The next elevator opened its door about 20-30 seconds later. No one else got on. I punched the 11 button and rode alone up to my floor. A few seconds after I walked off the elevator and started down the hall to my office entrance, I heard a chime behind me. The first elevator door opened, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw the same food delivery guy walking out. His elevator must have made a stop or two along the way. I'm now a few steps ahead of him. We're the only office on our floor, so he must be delivering to one of my coworkers. Our office uses key fobs for security. I scanned mine to unlock the door and stepped into the office lobby, then made sure to look back and make eye contact with him as the door closed and locked behind me. My favorite part of the story is that it's a glass office door, so he must have seen me stroll through the lobby and start down the hallway as he stood there. I smiled widely when I heard the office doorbell ring, even more when it rang the second time a short while later. Inconveniencing an entitled girl. So, a couple days ago, I was getting my nails done at a local salon. The girls there are amazing, and it's just 3 of them, so they time manage as it goes. Most people just walk in, but most people know if you do that, you'll have to wait. They'll usually say, "Come back in X amount of time, and we'll be ready for you." I had an appointment and still ended up waiting a little. No big deal, they were slammed. In that time 3 people came in and their names were written down as next in line, as well as 2 girls already waiting next to me, 5 people after me. I finally sit down to get my nails done, and it's a simple manicure with no polish. One girl was doing pedicures on a couple, and the other had just started a full set. As soon as I sit down, this teenage girl comes in with her parents and seats herself at a table without saying anything. Her parents then walk up to the lady who was doing my nails and say, I quote, "Her flight leaves in 5 hours and we have to leave in 1 to make it on time. Her nail just broke, fix it." Cool. I proceeded to ask for a dip manicure with nail art and the deluxe spa package. The hour was up and the girl and the parents were positively fuming. They ended up leaving, her nails still broken. My nails look great and I tipped extra. Our next post is by Punknetic. Roommate won't be considerate about noise, so I keep disconnecting the Wi-Fi. My roommate has always had bad habits, not cleaning up her messes, over a dozen dishes in her side of sink at any given time, sweeps dirt from her room into common areas, and not use the dustpan to scoop it up and throw in the trash, never announces guests, so I've encountered random men in the living room alone, late on bills, etc. However, lately, she's taken to suddenly play her loud screechy, traditional Indian music. I mean, he'll come home from an early morning 8-hour shift at 10 a.m. 1 p.m., meaning I work anytime between 2:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m. often. And every time within 10 minutes of my arrival, she'll start playing her shitty-ass music so loud, I can hear it beyond my noise-canceling headphones and my own music trying to drown it out. She'll also play her TV shows so loudly, it'll rumble the walls. She did this most days till 2 a.m., no matter how many times I've told her to at least turn it down, or that I have to sleep, or I would like to nap after a graveyard shift. She'll turn it down for an hour or 2, then turn it all the way back up. Well, I finally got fed up and tried looking up ways to be petty. Wi-Fi scramblers are illegal, but I wanted to make sure she couldn't her electronics when I needed to sleep. Finally, I realized I can control the Wi-Fi from my provider app. Roommate works from home on her comp and needs the Wi-Fi. I have a personal hotspot. I let the fun begin. So about a week ago, I decided to connect my TV to my mobile hotspot so that I could listen to my music or watch my shows, as she started blasting her music again almost as soon as I got home. I am convinced she does it on purpose, BTW. I open the app, restart the Wi-Fi, and her music stutters and halts. The sudden silence was glorious. I turn on my music, and she texts if my Wi-Fi is disconnected. I act like nothing's wrong and text her no, or else my music would stop since it's my TV on the Wi-Fi. She texts back, "Oh okay." I simply laugh to myself. I repeated this for about 30 minutes before she got fed up with the spotty Wi-Fi and left the apartment. I've been doing this now for the past week whenever I hear her start her music or shows, when I think about it while at work or the getting groceries, and it's been hilarious. She says it impedes her work, but again, I act like nothing's wrong because finally I get silence and can actually sleep whenever I need to. She can go to a Starbucks or library if she needs Wi-Fi that bad. I don't give an F anymore. I'll even restart the modem a dozen times right before bed so that she gets fed up and doesn't try to blast her shit at 2 a.m. This makes it worth it to deal with all her other bad habits because knowing she's angry as F makes me happy. Should have listened to me and been considerate. Our next post is by Cave Flavored, ruined a whole bunch of pictures and probably a main character's day by being petty. So backstory. I live in a touristic city. The only way into the city is via small bridges. They're gorgeous, but getting in and out of the city can be annoying, as they often open for boats, and then you either have to wait 10 to 15 minutes or drive to the other side of city to enter from there. There are earlier bridges, but due to the one-way roads that would take even longer in most cases, I've learned to be quite patient since living here. Today, when I drove home, tried turning onto one of the bridges as I had a green light and saw a boat coming. I had noticed a tourist with a camera on the sidewalk before I turned onto it, but didn't think much of it. This particular bridge has sidewalks on both sides. And then without warning, as I was turning in, she suddenly sprinted onto the road. WTF. I had to slam my emergency brakes, and this woman was lucky I don't drive like a maniac, and was very aware of my surroundings because I would have hit her if I didn't react as quickly as I did. Like she seriously saw me turning onto the bridge and sprinted in front of my car so she could get a good picture while blocking the intersection. I was flabbergasted. Due to her position, I was still half on the intersection, blocking traffic trying to pass through, so naturally I honked at her to get the F off the road. Wrong choice. This woman went crazy, screaming, waving her arms at me, knocking her head pretending like I was the crazy one. I just couldn't help but start laughing. I mean, you walked onto an active intersection. I'm not the insane one here, lady. Luckily, after a minute or two of screaming, she let me pass, and as soon as I passed, I saw in my rearview mirror she was blocking the next car doing the exact same thing, standing in the middle of the intersection to take a picture. So I did the only thing I could do according to my brain in that moment. I stopped my car right on the middle of the bridge and waited till she would either move out of the way or the bridge opened. Meaning I was actively blocking any opportunity of a nice picture. She didn't move, she just screamed from a distance till I heard the signal that the bridge would open, meaning she would not be able to take her picture for at least 20 minutes, open time plus time to have all traffic pass, and I drove home with a stupid petty grin on my face. Worth it. So yeah, screw you, lady. Just because you have a $500 camera doesn't mean the world revolves around you and your stupid pictures. Our next post is by Rupesix, made a road rager pay for his actions. So something bizarre happened on my drive to work a few days ago, and I still think about it. There was this car that was aggressively weaving between lanes, sometimes with zero warning or turn signals, and at one point he tried to get into my lane, but I was already next to him. He still tried to merge and nearly ran me into the left median. I had a car in front of and behind me, so I couldn't brake too fast or speed up, and I was not in his blind spot, so I honked my horn and he still tried to get in the lane, but ended up getting behind me and tailgating me aggressively. And I'm like, whatever dude, I'm just driving to work, this isn't Fast and Furious, you're in a Lexus. Eventually, he got in front of me, and I thought it was the end of it. But this guy made me his enemy because after that, he did not let me pass him. Ever. I simply did not care. I was too tired for antics, but any time I changed a lane, he'd change with me, and then slow down to slow me down. and for a while, I thought, am I imagining this? So finally, an exit for the toll road was coming up on the right, and I was like, screw it, I'll take the toll road. Get away from this guy, and sped up to get into the exit lane. This guy went all the way from the left lane into my toll road lane, so I was like, you had no intention of being in this lane. I don't think I'm imagining things anymore. So I stayed a good distance back, waited for him to get kinder into the curve of the exit lane to the point where he was committed to it, and I immediately changed lanes and got out and watched him try to swerve out, but it was too late for him. He was in the toll lanes, and I was on my merry way. I have been thinking about it and laughing for days now. Our next post is by InfoShare. Supervisor harassed and belittled me. I promoted, outranked her, kept her from promoting, and got her fired. In 2015, I had a supervisor who was a GS6 that harassed and constantly belittled me. I was a GS4. I couldn't do anything right in her eyes. I had the highest productivity in the office because I closed the most cases in the shortest amount of time. She tried stealing my cases and creating obstacles to prevent me from closing the cases I identified. It never worked. I always prevailed. She lied to the area manager and said I had brought a gun to work. They forced me to open my bag so they can search it, or said I would be terminated. They found no weapons. She took what I said completely out of context and told the area manager I said I wanted to burn the office down. What I had said was, I don't care if the building burns down today. I will still wake up tomorrow, say my morning prayers, and apply to other jobs. I am marketable and can find another job. She called the military police on me in attempt to have me arrested because my Gerber pocket knife, that is sold everywhere and completely legal, slipped out of my pocket without me noticing. The military police never made contact with me. She kept my knife and never gave it back. 8 months later, I ended up leaving the office because it was toxic and I couldn't deal with the harassment anymore. I deployed into a GS7 grade. Shortly after, she deployed as a GS7. A GS9 position came up and we were both interested. Neither of us applied as it wasn't posted. She told the area manager, I can't work with him. You have to move him from this location. My area manager said, he's my highest producing employee. Moving him would be a change of benefits for him. Why would I create a problem I don't already have? She was upset and complained. My area manager selected me for the job. I'm now a GS9 and she's a GS7 in another office. I ended up getting promoted 6 months later to a GS11. We're in the accepted service. She finishes her assignment and goes back to her permanent job of a GS6. My region manager calls me one day and says, hey, I have this applicant for a GS7 position and I think you worked with her. He told me her name and asked, I'm thinking of selecting her for the position at XYZ location. Do you think she will do well? I said, boss, you could leave that office unmanned for 6 months, and there will still be more productivity than you putting her there for 12 months. It's not a move I would make, and not an applicant I'm willing to endorse. He said, understood. She didn't get the job. Someone else called me and asked what I thought about her at another location, and I said the same thing. She didn't get the job. 3 years later I promoted to GS12, and she's still a GS6. 2 years after that, I promoted to a GS13, and she finally made it to GS9. She wanted to deploy again, but in another directorate, because I would have been her second-line supervisor, not that I would have accepted her, and the commander asked me if I knew who she was since we worked in the same directorate. I said, yes, I know her. He asked what I thought about putting her into XYZ position. I gave him my same feedback as the other two had asked. She didn't get the job. Recently, I was doing some reviews and found anomalies. I turned it over to my counterpart, another region manager, because it wasn't my region. 4 months ago, we fired her for the anomalies I found in her office. It turned out she was committing fraud. Ah, good times. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.